Do you feel anxiety around people who are very close to you? Do you feel sometimes unable to really say no or ask for what you really need? Well, then listen really carefully, because you are being manipulated. And most people internalize it. They think, I'm too weak, there's something wrong with me, or I just need something, I need to improve myself before they can commit to me, or before they can understand me, before they can give me space or some freedom. You're being manipulated. And then you're watching some videos and reading self-help books, and you are just trying to self-improve and doing a lot of healing, and it's just doesn't really do much in the long term or permanently. You're being manipulated. So I'm going to start with a clear definition. What is disrespect? Because most people, just like myself, we grow up in an environment where we just don't have any healthy, clear example of what respect actually is. So respect is when somebody has an interest to give you what you want and need. And it doesn't mean that they have to give you what you need and want, but they have an interest in it. And so disrespect is when people have no interest, but they pretend they have an interest. That's why it's so difficult to spot manipulation. And what happens is when we are being manipulated, we are basically behaving in very irrational ways. We start pleasing people. We start doing things that we essentially don't want to be doing. I just had a client and she shared with me that she became friends with the guy who raped her. And then she thought about it years after and she just could not believe it. You know, when we are being manipulated, what happens is that we suppress our emotions. And we suppress our emotions, then we hate ourselves afterwards. And this brings us so much anxiety and so much stress around people. And sometimes people don't even know where it's coming from. They just feel this tension, anxiety, or they're avoiding people completely. And they think that there's something wrong with their chemistry. They have the unlucky personality traits, or they are too sensitive. So no, you're not too sensitive. If I had this one message for you today, one advice for you, then do not try to make your anxiety go away. You know, there was also a time in my life when I felt so anxious. And it started with my mom, who would sometimes put me down, and I just never knew that it's manipulation. I always thought it was something wrong with me because I just didn't know how to deal with it. So I always thought it was my fault. And then I had this one relationship in my life with this guy, let's call him Joe. And the reason I felt so anxious in this, I was just insecure and anxious in this relationship. And I thought it was all my problem and I had to deal with it. And why? Because he was just such a nice guy and everybody loved him. And he was very generous to the community. And it was just so much disrespectful. He was flirting with all these girls and none of his female friends wanted to be friends with me. So there was a lot of shame. I was just feeling so alone. I felt like nobody was on my side. I felt completely alone and unsupported. And it was a time in my life when I did so much healing, you know, inner child healing. I've read so many books and did just nonviolent communication, all kinds of tips and strategies. I tried so many things, but it just didn't do anything because I didn't know there was manipulation going on. And so why is it so hard to overcome this? Here's the thing. This manipulation is caused by this dynamic of two people. And because it is a dynamic, it's essentially a story. So the more you struggle, the more you try to get out, the more you really make an effort, the more the story actually stays put. It's like this monkey trap. And so maybe you also feel some anxiety around certain people in your relationships. It can be a close relationship, it can be friends. And so just do not try to make this anxiety go away. As a transpersonal coach, I guide people to really break through the stories and collapse the self-image, the false identity really that lives in that story. And so they are only then, once they really dive deeply into their anxiety, then they are able to really free themselves from it and are able to respond from a place of clarity, love, and connection or compassion. It's just a completely different way of being. Actually, one of my past clients recently, she said, it's just like a stepping into a completely different world that she never knew existed. Because without losing those stories that keep you so stuck, you're like a magnet for manipulation. And you really don't notice until it's too late. We just feel that anxiety, we just feel that stress, that contraction. It's like you just cannot be yourself. You find yourself like self-monitoring all the time, or you say yes when you really mean no. And this is because you know deeply down that they will either give you cold treatment or they will have a resentment if you're really being yourself. So that's manipulation. They're trying to keep you in that story, and you'll be in this disadvantaged position, and you will try to get out by self-improving or by trying to work on the relationship and try to do different things, and just none of that works because they actually don't have any interest in giving you what you need and what you want. And if you think that you can just swallow the pain and you can put on a smile and just think that you can just make it through and it will somehow go away, it doesn't. You will end up suppressing so many emotions that you will just end up hating yourself and not even knowing what's happening until you won't be able to recognize who you really are. You'll be so far away from... The reason why it hurts so much when we feel anxiety is because we are so far away from your true self. And it takes so much. It costs you all the relationships, all the connection. It's really painful. And so the good news is that it actually takes two people to create a certain dynamic, but you have 100% power to completely undo this dynamic, this story. Okay, so maybe you ask yourself, how do I really do this? And so that's why I created a brand new one-on-one coaching program, which is called Beyond Limits. And it is a 3-month coaching program with weekly Zoom calls with me that will help you to go beyond anxiety and really help you to unleash this self-expression, true, authentic self. And because it is a completely brand new program, I'm going to give 50% off for the first 3 people who will book a call with me. So if you're interested, you can follow the link in the description of this video, get on the phone with me, and we will explore how I can really support you in your specific situation. And of course, asking all your questions. And if you're wondering right now, what are the benefits anyway, working with me? So the benefits are that you will lose this anxiety and stress around any situation. It doesn't matter what you went through or what you're going through. And I will also help you I will teach you or train you with this system so you know how to always come back into this stress-free, anxious-free, just your true nature from any situation by yourself without needing me, even when we stop working together. You will stop any codependent patterns, any negative self-talk and self-doubts. And what it means is that you will be able to speak and be from a place of clarity, making decisions from the place of clarity, compassion, love, and connection. And that means that you will get respect. And so that means that you will feel relaxed and really just unleashing that true self that is dying to come out. And this is really not about courage, trying to do something, because for me, that brings me even more anxiety, like I have to having all these uncomfortable conversations. You will be in the space where you'll be so open. And so just your wisdom comes out that there will be no need to defend. There's nobody to defend, nobody to protect that self-image or that story. So you're just completely present, and it's just like a completely different world. Then you don't have to try to control your mind all the time, trying to think positive. The positive thinking, it's like as soon as we are manipulated, the positive thinking just goes away. We just can't help but self-hating ourselves and criticize. And sometimes it happens so deep inside that we really don't notice. We just feel that contraction. We just feel like we just can't do what we really want to do. And I know that most people really, they wait and they postpone until they're in a better place or in a better situation, or they believe that the people they are dealing with are completely impossible and they're really scared to make any changes. And so if you are in that position, and perhaps you have that pattern of doubting yourself or hesitating, maybe just see what happens when you break that pattern. See, there will never be a better time than now. Now is the time to do something about it. And this is an opportunity, as I said, very unique opportunity. And so if you go to the link and book a call with me, we'll jump on the phone and really just explore. It's a no pressure call to explore how could I support you in your situation. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about this because it's something that's been extremely painful in my own life. And as I said, I only have space for 3 people, 3 of you with this 50% discount. So go beyond limits, go beyond your anxiety, and really unleash that hidden, authentic self, true self.